we'll cover a couple things here. One is recruiting, and we'll start with that first, and then the second being that we play our first game tomorrow. I was telling Josh back there that our guys are looking forward to getting out there tomorrow night, starting regular season play. We've had a great week of practice, and we'll get into SEMO here in just a second. In terms of recruiting, obviously a great day for us. Trent, Javon, DeMonte, to have them officially through the signing as a part of our family, although I certainly feel like they've been a part of it for a long time. Their recruitment processes were very lengthy. We've gotten to know all three young men very well as people, as students, as players, and the fact that they fit what we're about as a program, what our university is about, and what we want to build means a great deal. I know all of them were very, very excited yesterday. A couple of them, I think, maybe even slept with the national letter of intents underneath their pillows. So they were so excited, and that's neat to see that and feel that from those young men. So we're looking forward to coaching those guys and continuing to build our program. Obviously, with the perimeters, Tracy, Jalen, Malcolm, all graduating. It was really important that we address ball handling and playmaking, and we were able to do that certainly with those three young men. So, we're very excited to finally add them officially. Like I said, although they've certainly been a part of our family for a while now. Questions regarding recruiting, if you don't mind, we'll kind of segment it, and then we'll go to SEMO, to tomorrow night's opener.
John, obviously, you've had some high-profile wins in recruiting.
Sure.
Just to lose them, it seems like, or not sign them right away. Just how can you address that? How can you make sure?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do, and Jeremy, certainly I respect you and everyone here, I'm going to make the entire day today about the three guys that have signed. I owe that to those three guys. They're special people. Their families are special, and it needs to be about them. So certainly for today, I'm not going to discuss any recruiting other than the three young men who have signed.
What does Trent add to your point guard position?
Playmaking at a really high level, Jeremy. Trent is a high-level playmaker, I think as good as any in the country. He's great in pick and rolls. He has an ability to get his own shot. You guys have watched Malcolm now for years. Malcolm at times, if you give him the ball in space and you have good spacing, can get balls up on the rim, and that's a gift. That's a real gift. Not everybody can do that. Trent has that ability to do that. He's great in pick and rolls. He's great in transition and up-tempo situations. I think he's good athletically. He has the ability to make guys better as well as score efficiently, and is really a good fit for how we like to play, certainly as much as we pick and roll. He's a great fit for that.
How do he and Tijan complement each other?
Great question. I think they're both obviously playmakers. T has elite level vision, elite level. He can really see and make guys better and quarterback a team. Trent has that ability as well, probably a little bit more wired to score, although both of them can certainly score and make guys better. And I think that dual threat concept that both those guys have, Jeremy, is what's going to make them effective moving forward for us.
Coach, how much do you see these guys fitting a basketball system that you want to implement? How much do you try and make a system that goes to what they can do?
Both. Obviously, for us, we have a system that we'd like to play that we're convicted about. I think you've kind of seen that the first two exhibition games, the speed in which we've played, the depth that we've had, the amount of pick and rolls, the spacing. Certainly these three guys, they fit that. There's no question about that. Obviously Javon has an ability to score the ball and stretch the floor. DeMonte also is a great playmaker. Jeremy's question obviously pertains strictly to Trent, but DeMonte has a lot of similar characteristics. Except he's a little bit bigger. I think he's a multi-positional defender, which makes him really, really valuable because I think he can guard a lot of different people, different types of players. But he also has that ability to play make. He can get in the paint. He can make others better. He sees things. DeMonte can put balls on time on target, and he also has that ability to score. So you have to honor him and guard him. So there's no question that I think those three guys fit how we want to play. I alluded to that style a little bit there at the outset of your question.
Coach, Trent fell in love with Illinois before he even stepped foot here. How much does that say about the work Dustin put in, and that surprised you at all how much he was bought in already?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I have a great staff. Those guys work really, really hard. I say every year, we're in position to recruit talented people and talented players. They certainly deserve a lot of credit for that. And I think the thing I appreciate about Trent, obviously he has the abilities that we just discussed in depth, but I certainly appreciate the fact of how much he loves Illinois, wants to be at Illinois, wants to be a part of what we're doing. He and his family fully understand what a special place this is, not only athletically, but also on the academic front, and what a place like Illinois can do for him, not only while he's here, Derek, but for a long time, and the rest of his life. It's a lifetime decision. So it gets me excited to see how excited he is.
John, can you elaborate on Javon a little bit and his sense of scoring, how he scores, how he gets his point?
He has a knack. I mean, certainly the natural thing for all of us to do when you think of big wing from Belleville East is to try to compare him to Malcolm Hill, Tup. I try not to do that because, in fairness, I want Javon Pickett to be the best Javon Pickett that God intended him to be. I want Malcolm Hill to be Malcolm Hill. But there are some similarities there. They're both bigger wings. Javon just has a knack to put the ball in the hole. The thing I appreciate about him as well is whenever I've had the chance to personally go see him, it's happened to be in some big games against really athletic teams or rivalry games, and he loves the big moment. He really has played very well when there's a lot at stake, and I really respect that about him a lot. But he just has that gift where he can shoot the ball in from long range. He can play in the mid-range. He finds the ball. The ball's like a magnet to him a little bit. He'll be a crafty offensive rebounder at times when I watch him. He just kind of knows where the ball's at, anticipates where it's at, and has an ability, obviously, to put it in the basket.
Maybe as easy as this to try and draw comparisons between Javon and Malcolm. Is it the same to try and do that with DeMonte and Frank?
Same answer, Scott. Obviously, we have great respect for Frank and what he did here as a player. He's one of our all-time greats. But I think the one thing that's unique about DeMonte, certainly as much as he respects his dad, he wants to be DeMonte. And, obviously DeMonte's pretty good. So, we're excited about that. The playmaking part's probably similar. Those of you certainly that watched him live would probably say that Frank could make some plays. DeMonte can make plays. DeMonte's got a great body. And I think, I watch him even now, how much his body, Scott, has grown physically and how much stronger he's got during the recruitment. His body's changed. It's really developed. I get excited when I think about what that body's going to look like once he gets with our strength and conditioning staff.
You talk a lot about consistency with DeMonte. What do you think is the key to building that with him? Obviously, we all know his ceiling.
Yeah, I think obviously the structure that we put these guys in, our culture is going to help him. Derek, I certainly have great respect for what Coach Booth and the Irvins have done with him. He's gotten better. His body's changed. I really like the progress he's made. He's looked really good this fall when I've seen him, when I went over to visit. And, I just think that a lot of times when you talk about inconsistency, obviously there's talent there. We all see that. It's playing with the same motor, the same effort level, the same disposition mentally every single day. And, we'll continue to challenge him with that. But he's also, I've talked to him a lot about challenging himself to do that here in his last year and really bring it every day. Certainly from what we've seen as we've been over there this fall, he has much more of that disposition, I think, to be more consistent, which is what you're alluding to.
John, as you move forward, obviously there's still scholarships available. Need is in the post, I'm guessing.
Front court, for sure. You look, obviously we talked about what we were losing on the perimeter, Jeremy, with Abrams, Hill, Jalen Tate. We're losing some perimeter guys. This certainly fills that void at a high level for us. And, losing Big Mike and Mav, we've got to continue to add some depth there, and certainly front court recruiting will be on our minds.
Is there any big way that recruiting's changed recently?
No, I think it's different. It's unique. For from maybe when I first started. I think a big reason for that probably is social media. I think that's really changed the game. I've talked about this before. I certainly don't mean to be redundant. So if you've heard me say this, I apologize ahead of time. But when I first started, a lot of kids would seniors would make decisions in the fall. They would take several official visits. They would make their decision around signing day, and they would get to quite a few of their visits. Now what happens, I think, at times, and when it hit me was when we were at Xavier in the early 2000s. There was a young man, and I'm not going to mention his name, but he ended up committing to a school without ever seeing the school, out of fear that he might lose that opportunity. Because his other two choices, his spot got filled. And he's reading that, and that's when all of a sudden that all starts to come about, and now kids are, making decisions, I think, based on information that travels a lot faster today than when I first started recruiting in the mid to late 90s, So that's probably the biggest difference in recruiting from when I first started, Jeremy.
John, with that being said, how do you kind of keep up with all of that as you approach a recruiting class?
I think you can't get too high or too low, Brett. You got to, you got to kind of get used to where you kind of see about everything, and you just got to stay the course, not getting too high or too low. You're dealing with 14 to 18-year-olds, so for me, just trying to stay the course, be true to who we are, who I am, and what we do and how we do it is important, and we've done that, and we're going to continue to do that moving forward.
Is there anything that you wish the NCAA would change in recruiting efforts, things to move the process along faster, slower?
Faster? I don't know. I mean, you've seen here in recent years like a 7th or 8th grader committing. It's just my opinion. I don't know how healthy that is. I coach a 5th and 6th grade AAU team on the side. And I look at my son, and he's about ready to turn 11. He's going to be in 6th grade next year. And I think about in 1 to 2 years, he's going to be prospect age. And is he ready to commit anywhere as a 12-year-old, 11-year-old, 13-year-old? That's scary to me. I don't know if the answer is to the speed game. I think the answer is to find the right fit. I think the answer is to see what's important to you individually, match up where you think it's a great fit. We want guys that fit what we do and how we do things. When you find that mutual fit, when you find that place that you feel like, hey, that's where I can be really, really successful, I think that's when you make that decision. But I don't know if faster, pertaining to 6th, 7th, 8th graders, not because now when I first started, NCAA rules said a prospect was a 9th grader. Now it's changed to 7th graders. So those are probably some of the biggest changes.
There's been some ideas, maybe more in football than basketball, that to eliminate signing periods, and if an athlete wants to sign when they commit in the summer before their senior year, then that would be fine. What would your take on that?
I haven't really thought about it, Scott, and maybe I should. I'm one of those guys that, and you've heard me say this before, I worry about what I can control. I think as soon as you get caught up in what you can't control, like, you drive yourself crazy. So certainly if that became a rule change, my opinion on it, just listening to you say it, I mean, I think it's necessarily a bad thing, but that's not the way it's currently set up. So it kind of is, as I always tell Mike Thorne every day before practice when we dap each other up, it is what it is. It is what it is. So that's the reality.
We talk with DeMonte, combo guard, point guard, off guard. How do you see him in that realm?
I think he can do all those things, Derek. I think, again, his strength is his versatility to guard multiple positions. He's certainly a playmaking guard. I think he really has a chance to be special. I think especially once he gets inside the everyday processes that take place with a kid in college basketball, strength and conditioning and training table and all the different things that that we provide our guys here at Illinois. I think he's really going to excel.
How important was it for you to just go out and get that in-state talent? I know years past you've been able to get it and just continue that trend of getting good players, a lot of good players in Chicago as well. So.
Yeah, I think it's important, no question about it. We're very, very blessed. This is such a great state. We've got great coaches, and certainly it's a huge part of our recruiting efforts. At the same time, we also have to understand, and I explain this to the staff, we want to make sure that guys are the right fit. That's really important. I mentioned that earlier with Brett's question. I just think fit is the number one thing, and trying to find the right fit regardless of geographic location, I think is important. You can see obviously in our recruiting efforts, we've, in addition to making certainly the state a very, very high priority, we've also recruited outside the state too. And I think it's important to have a blend of both.
Coach, with these three, I mean, they're a year from taking the floor yet.
Yeah.
Do you talk to them at all or make a commitment with them if they're doing what they're doing about the type of playing time they'll see early on? Or is that a wait and see what's going on?
We talk to kids about opportunity. Obviously this is a unique class because we're losing 6 guys. So we have 12 on scholarship. We lose 6 guys, including AA. So that's a lot of opportunity. And they know that. I always say, players play players. They earn it. I think competition brings out the best in teams and players if they channel it the right way. That's what's happening to our team right now. I thought we had a great week of practice. I thought we were better in exhibition game 2 than exhibition game 1. But our practices right now are, the depth in practice, because we got everybody rolling. It's a heck of a battle every day. And what happens is guys just continue to keep getting better when you have that type of roster. And so that's been a real blessing for us this year, and certainly a trend that we want to continue.
This has been a highly touted class. How are you feeling now that?
I'm excited. I'm really excited for these 3 kids. And again, when you recruited them as long as we have, you get to know their families, their coaches, their hopes, their dreams, their goals, their insecurities, their weaknesses, because we all got them. No one's perfect. And just the way you get to know them, for us, they felt like a part of our family now for a long time, Brett. This was just a signing, which is important and special, and it should be. It kind of puts the official stamp on it for the 3 kids. But they've been a part of our family for a while now, and we're glad that we officially get to say that publicly.
You know how Trent shoots the ball. Do you think at all about putting him and JCL on the same court together, and what that'd be like?
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, there's a lot of flexibility there with the 3 guards, because the one thing I've mentioned, Javon's a bigger wing. DeMonte can play different with different guys. Trent can play with different guys. We love that versatility. I think certainly our team right now has that. It's one of the strengths of our team is that versatility and that depth we just alluded to. And certainly adding these 3 guys continues to help us move in that direction.
Is depth a challenge in recruiting? Because I know almost teams seems trending towards opportunity, guaranteed opportunity.
I would agree with that, Derek. I think opportunity is a big part. And obviously as it pertains to this class, which we're talking about today, he just alluded to it. When you got 6 guys leaving, and, kids see that and see that as a special opportunity. And I'm sure that got the attention of these 3 young men. And they're excited to be a part of it and go out there and battle and compete for that opportunity that exists.
Do you expect to fill the final 3 spots?
We'll see, Brett. I want to get the right people. I keep alluding to fit. Certainly we've got a lot of different things we could do. Jeremy mentioned the emphasis on front court. That's certainly valid. Do we sign or get one more? Is it 2 more? Do we hold one? I think those are conversations we've certainly had a lot as a staff. Most importantly for us, we want to make sure we get the right people. I don't want to just fill them to fill them. We want to get guys that can do what we need them to do. We want to get guys that fit what we're about here at Illinois.
Game-related questions for Coach?
You want me to go game next? Is everybody ready for that? Okay, obviously we got SEMO tomorrow night. Guys are excited, as I mentioned earlier, to get out there to get the regular season started. We've had a good week of practice. I feel like we're making a lot of inroads and a lot of progress. We certainly got better from exhibition game 1 to exhibition game 2. And guys are pretty motivated right now and excited about opening weekend. As it pertains to SEMO, I think, obviously they're a different team. They brought in 9 new players, 6 junior college transfers, 3 freshmen. So they're a completely different team than they were last year. What stands out to me watching film is their pressure man defense. which will be a real challenge for us. You know, one of the things that we're trying to shore up right now is our ability to take care of the basketball at the level that we're certainly all accustomed to. We've done that on a national level here for years, both here and at the previous place I was at. We've turned it over a little bit too much for my liking in the 2 exhibition games. It's been a point of emphasis here heading into the weekend, and they're going to challenge that. They get into you. They're very aggressive. They attack you defensively. So I think their pressure man defense certainly stands out. And then offensively, with the addition of these new players, I think in watching them on film, their guards and their perimeter's ability to make plays in space and in pick and roll situations are certainly something that we're going to have to deal with tomorrow night at 8:06. You know, we're aware of that. We certainly have great respect watching them on film for those guys' ability to make plays off the bounce, whether it be dribble penetration or via the pick and roll. So it'll be a good challenge. They're really athletic, and you know, our guys are looking forward to getting out there. Questions?
Sorry. How much of the turnovers at this point maybe still a function of guys getting used to each other on the court, even though you're very experienced with all the injuries and whatnot? You haven't played together a lot.
Well, there's maybe some reasons. I really despise the word excuses. I just not fond of the word, but there are some reasons we call it. I think one of them is the speed in which we're playing. You know, we're playing at a really high rate of speed right now, and we're going to continue that. So getting used to, I used the analogy last week of driving a Ferrari. You know, you got to know how to drive it. So I think that's part of it. Synchronization is certainly part of it. Obviously, Tracy coming back after a couple years. LeRon comes back here in a few games. You know, getting Kipper to where he feels comfortable, Tijon to where he becomes more comfortable, you know, managing guys through the preseason, understanding that we have an older team, that their bodies have been through a lot. So, you know, you may give a guy a day off of practice, probably a little bit more than I have in the past, in an effort to manage that. And, you know, I always say, you know, one of Jamal's favorite quotes is, you rob Peter to pay Paul. So that's good from the standpoint of health. I think it's really helped us. How much does it help synchronization when a guy's not practicing that day? Like, not great, but, you know, you got the trade-off there. But the good news is, you know, we're heading into this thing. We got our bodies, and I do think we're getting better. I think we're getting in more synchronization. Guys are getting a lot more comfortable. You know, we're getting better, and that's really all we ask. We just want to keep getting better every day and max out every day.
You took Sunday and Monday off. Did you see that make a difference maybe Tuesday, Wednesday when the guys got back?
Yeah, did that kind of, you know, in part, we wanted to make sure that we balance. Next week we have a really heavy week where NCAA rules allow us, if we take 2 days off the previous or post week of a week we're looking at, like next week where we play all these games, then you don't have to take a day off. So that was part of the reason we took 2 off. It was also partly because I wanted to kind of put a conclusion, official termination, Scott, to the preseason, come up for air, roll in on Tuesday, and all eyes focused on SEMO and our team's game plan and preparation for tomorrow night. We were able to do that. I thought we've practiced well. You know, part of it is our guys, you know, we're very fortunate. We are experienced. We are older. Sometimes you worry about teams coming off of 2 days off, but, you know, our team's been ready to go, and I think a lot of it has to do with their excitement to play tomorrow night.
How do you feel about your team's defensive progress? Obviously going to find out more about that, but what do you...
Yeah, it's a great question, Derek, because that's my second area of concern, is finding that defensive identity. You know, I think we've been okay. You know, getting better in that area has got to be important to all of us. I think the team understands that. They're talking about it a lot. We're constantly talking about defending with purpose, executing our system, executing the little details of our defense at a much higher level than we did last year. Certainly having more bodies, you know, it's no secret. Again, it's not an excuse, but it's reality. We've got more bodies. We've got a little bit more size, and we got some healthier guys. That certainly helps our defense. So, but we still have a ways to go there to get that thing to where, you know, we're accustomed to and need it to be.
Like you mentioned, the SEMO game is the start of a stretch of a lot of games
Yeah.
in a short period of time. What's maybe the challenge of a schedule like that, and then what are maybe some steps you can take to lessen the impact?
Well, obviously, next week looks more like an NBA schedule. You know, we're playing so many games in X number of days. Practice changes a little bit, Scott. It becomes, You know, and I've shared with them. I thought, you know, Josh had a great point because I asked him about playing in the NFL. I mean, you read those guys don't hit every day in between games. How do you keep getting better? And I think the challenge is, unfortunately for us, we have an older team. You have to take every mental rep when you're out or every non-contact or walk-through rep live in your mind. And that's what the great ones do. They make those reps live mentally. Or if it's a non-contact rep, or you're doing 5-on-0 and working on the particular execution and timing of a play with no defense, you have to take that rep live. You have to go screen as if defense was there. That takes a certain maturity level. I think older guys certainly help. And, you know, we'll see. Because we even on those days where we walk through, it's, you know, like Saturday, probably not going to practice real heavy Saturday in terms of contact. We'll go hard, but it'll be shorter. It may not be any contact or very little, but we still fully expect to get better and prepare mentally for our next opponent really, really well. To do that, you have to have a certain level of maturity. I think that's the biggest challenge.
One more thing.
Sure.
Was the rotation tightened up any with starting the regular?
I don't know if it'll ever get tightened up entirely, Scott, until after we get, you know, Black, Nichols. You know, there's a lot of X factors with that right now. I do like the fact that we've been able to play with some depth. I think it's helped our speed. It's helped our intensity defensively. It's helped our rebounding effort. We want to continue to do that. As long as players, you know, earn that, then we'd like to be a really deep team and keep playing that way. I think it allows us the potential of wearing teams down. Other than I hear him, you know, there's some guys on the team, Rob's questions about the election, that certainly follow it more closely than others. You know, I know Finke and Hill were really into the debates. So they spent a lot of time, like, watching those, and I could hear them talking about, you know, the debates. The only thing we did, certainly can't make them, but we encouraged all of them to vote. You know, I wore my, you know, I voted sticker. The staff did as well. We talked to them about the importance of that, and that was our opinion. Certainly not pushing that on them. That's their right to choose to do that. But we had, you know, we mentioned that certainly Monday and Tuesday. But other than that, most of the conversations have been, you know, amongst themselves. I can hear them talking about different things as it pertains to the two candidates. No, that's them. You can ask them their thoughts and their opinions. I don't want to do that. I'm going to try to stay out of the politics game. Questions from the phone line? What you wanted?
Yeah, this is Shannon. I just have one that you've probably already gone over with the guys that are down there a lot more, but I just want to ask you a little about Malcolm and the broad questions. Have you seen him take a lot more ownership? Do you consider this kind of, I know it's a team game, Malcolm's a really good team player, but have you seen him take ownership of the team in a way, or is this Malcolm's team to run?
No, I don't know if it's just his team, and he'd be the first to tell you that. You know, I think we have 6 seniors, which is really unique. We have a senior meeting every week. I'm asking those guys to lead not only through being verbal, through their voice, Shannon, but also through actions. And as it pertains to Malcolm, I mean, he's really stepped up. I mean, I think about, you know, where he started and where he is today, and you know, it really makes me proud, to be honest with you. I mean, I just, in all areas, person, student, player, attention to detail, being more vocal, body, athleticism. I mean, he approaches every day the way that we want it approached. You know, I just, and a lot of our seniors have been that way too. You know. I got Dustin got a neat text from Egwu yesterday or today. He was reading it to me. Nana follows us religiously and watches as much as he can, and he was just talking about different things. I'm not going to get into details. We were laughing about different practices and what Hill and Morgan and some of those guys looked like as freshmen, and how Nana, as well as some of our other older players, mentored those guys, and now how they look when they play. And you know, Nana notices, and it's pretty neat to watch their evolution. But, you know, no question, Hill is a guy that is much more vocal, certainly than he was as a freshman, and I think he's a lot more vocal now than he has been at any time during his career.
Great. Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Hey, John, this is David Wilhelm down in Belleville. Just wanted to ask a follow-up on Hill. How big a deal is it for him to be on that Naismith watch list?
I didn't know he was, but is he, DB? It doesn't surprise me. I mean, I think he's one of the best players in the country. When he plays with the motor, the effort, and the attention to detail that he's worked very hard on demanding of himself, and that certainly I demand of him every day, and our staff does. I mean, I think he's one of the best players in the country, so it doesn't surprise me. Obviously, his versatility, his size, his ability to handle, pass, shoot, score, his wealth of experience, and he hasn't. I mean, nothing's come easy for him. He's had to earn it. He's had to work. And so again, as I said earlier, I don't mean to be redundant, but I'm really, really, really proud of him.